What is going on YouTube? Another video come at you from the Washington Command Post. My name is JD. We're going to dive into this. I can't believe I have to kind of be the one to do this, but I have to bring a little bit of logic to this Carson Wentz discussion. I was just listening to B. Mitch and JP Finley, and they're just like ripping this guy apart. First off, Carson Wentz is a good enough quarterback. Okay, if you're thinking that Carson Wentz is like bad, there's reports out now that the head coach and GM of the Colts did not want to get rid of him. Jim Irsay, the owner, overruled both of them and got rid of him. Okay? There's all this stuff's coming out. It's just utter BS. So I'm going to bring a little bit of logic to this. Okay, first off, his stats last year were very solid. Okay? And everyone keeps saying, like, oh, he lost to the Jaguars. Okay, the whole team lost to the Jaguars. The whole team underperformed in this game. Okay? The whole team underperformed in this game. In this game alone, okay, no other game's close to this. When it comes to Carson Wentz, he got sacked 6 times in this game. The only game close to this was the Buccaneers, where he got sacked 3 times. But he got sacked 6 times in this game. No other games even actually he got sacked a decent amount. So I guess his offensive line's not as good as everyone says they are. Okay? And the whole team didn't do well. Like Jonathan Taylor, who is, I don't think he won MVP, but he was an MVP candidate. Best runner in the league, only ran for 77 yards in this game. Like, he was ineffective. So it's not just one player, and they're trying to act like it is. It's all about one player. It's not. Okay? It's not about one player. It's about a team, and the team lost. The team didn't win the last 2 games. Had nothing to do with just one game. It had to do the last 2. They also didn't win against the Raiders. And in that game, Carson Wentz played just fine. He had a touchdown, no turnovers. Got sacked 1 time in that game, and the team just couldn't win that game. Okay, there's a lot of games where they lost, and there was just like very close games in which they lost. Had a handful of games with over 300 passing, and I'm not going to go over every stat, but I want to make a comparison here. The effectiveness of the running back with the Colts. I can't make the case honestly for Taylor because Taylor's only been there 2 years. He went from playing with Phillip Rivers to playing with Carson Wentz. Now, I will say this, because Phillip Rivers can't throw deep as much, the running yards got better with Carson Wentz. But I can't make a full comparison because he didn't play all the games last year. But I will use another running back to make a good comparison. Okay, so everyone knows who Derrick Henry is, right? Derrick Henry playing with Marcus Mariota. Consistently every year, 490 rushing yards. Only started 2 games, played in all 15. 490 rushing yards. 2017, started in 2 games, 744 rushing yards. 2018, Marcus Mariota's last year before he got benched, to 1,059 yards. Since the moment he started playing, with Ryan Tannehill, 102 yards per game. That was the minimum he's averaged. So in 2019, he had 1,500 rushing yards, 16 touchdowns, 102 yards of rushing per game. It's a per game average. Okay? 2022, Ryan Tannehill again, 2,027 rushing yards, 126.7 yards per game. And in 2021, through 8 games before he got injured, 937 rushing yards and 117 yards per game. So he went from 32 yards a game, 46 yards a game, 66 yards a game to 102. It's a 40 yards per game difference. You want to know why you have that difference? Because when you had Marcus Mariota did not have a great arm. Yeah, he was a little mobile, but he wasn't a solid quarterback. He was not a good quarterback. Tannehill I would say Tannehill and Carson Wentz have some pretty similar skill sets. They can throw deep, they are athletic, they have talent, and they got sent to a better situation. Okay, am I saying that this is going to be the exact thing where Gibson's going to go from 1,000 yards a season, close to 1,000, to now 1,500 rushing yards? Maybe. It's possible. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's possible. Okay, and what I'm saying in this is when you have a quarterback that can actually do some things, it opens up the running game. Okay? Now, again, I can't make a fair comparison, and I'm not going to try to, and the reason why I can't make that fair comparison is Jonathan Taylor did pretty good last year with Phillip Rivers as his quarterback, to be fair. So I can't really equate that too much. Okay, but there's a direct comparison and direct analogy, whatever you want to call it, to effectiveness in the running game and effectiveness in the passing game. If you have a quarterback that can beat you deep or beat a team deep, the running game opens up. You can't cheat up. You can't stack the box because the quarterback will burn you. And I think that's what a lot of people are not understanding, is that Carson Wentz is going to give that option to Washington. Okay? As much as I enjoy Taylor Heinicke, watching him play, he was also very frustrating sometimes. Carson Wentz can flick his wrist and throw the ball 50 yards through the air. Taylor Heinicke can't. I heard this all last year, and if anyone wants to try to say that they weren't one of these people, you can eat shit. I'm telling you, I heard this on Twitter every effing game. I had to turn off Twitter when the games were on and then get on it afterwards. All I heard after every freaking throw was, Taylor Heinicke's arm's weak. This was in his scouting report. Every freaking game, after every freaking throw that wasn't perfect, I heard this. Okay? Now, what are you going to say now? Let's find something else to bitch about. What? Carson Wentz, he has the arm to make all the throws. He's going to make a lot of players more effective. De'Ami Brown can blow the top off of defense. Terry McLaurin can blow the top off of defense. But if you don't have a quarterback that can throw more than 35 yards, that does not matter. It's not relevant. It's not going to be important at all. Okay? It's just not going to be effective at all. And, sorry, I'm clicking out some of the stats I have up. All right. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. Let me get out of that. Okay. So I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear it right now. And I'm listening to the B Mitch and JP Finley show, and they, they're opinionated, and that's what they get paid to do, is have an opinion and voice them. But I think the vitriol that's coming towards Carson Wentz in this pick is ill-placed. I don't think it's well-placed. And the reason why I don't think it's well-placed, don't get me wrong, I wasn't excited about it, but we could do a lot worse. Like, Washington could be in a situation where they got to sign Teddy Bridgewater for a year. Or we're signing, who's worse than Teddy Bridgewater? Tyrod Taylor for a year. We got a guy that a couple years ago was an MVP candidate. We got a guy that is known for 27-plus touchdowns in this league. He had a 4-to-1 touchdown ratio last year. Over his career, he's got a 3-to-1 touchdown to interception ratio. So I don't understand where all this hatred's going. Is it the move everyone wanted? No. Everyone wanted 1A and 1B was Wilson or Watson. Okay? And for all we know, Watson will never be an option. He'll never be an option. And for all we know, Washington was never an option for Wilson. Okay? Wilson had a no-trade clause. He had to choose where he went. And he wasn't going to go. He wanted to stay on the West Coast. Logically, there's nowhere on the West Coast he could have gone. Nowhere. In his own division, is he going to go to the Arizona Cardinals? Not particularly. They still have Kyler Murray. He ain't going to the 49ers. Okay? They just drafted the guy and they have Jimmy G. He ain't going to the Rams. They just won a Super Bowl with Matt Stafford. He ain't going there. Okay? So let's look at the AFC West. He ain't going to Chargers? No, they have Justin Herbert. He ain't going to the Chiefs. He ain't going to the Raiders. Okay, so the only team that in the western part of the country that has any kind of shot at getting you is Denver. So that's what it comes down to. He was only going to go on the West Coast. His wife works on the West Coast. He has family on the West Coast. Everything. He wasn't going to come to the East Coast unless it was like the perfect situation. Okay, and we don't have a bad situation, but it ain't the perfect situation. All right, Watson. For all we know, Watson, it's an actual legal thing. And I said this before. If it's not illegal, if it's just a civil suit, let's play ball. Let's get him. But for all we know, maybe Washington front office has done their investigation. They know that this guy, it's a legal issue. Okay? So after you get rid of those options, Rodgers, Wilson, Watson, what's next? You had Jimmy G. You had Mitch Trubisky. You had Wentz. Now, I'm not happy about paying Wentz his full salary. That's my biggest issue. If we're going to trade away picks, I'm fine because it's a potential franchise quarterback for the next 3 years for two-thirds or a third and a second. Okay? But I don't like that we had to pay his whole salary this year. It's my only biggest hang-up. Or if we got him in free agency, think about free agency, you'd have to give him a 3-year contract. His contract is made perfectly so he could be traded and either A, we got our guy for 3 years, or B, after 1 year and it's a fail, we get rid of him. Which I think that's just ridiculous how, I mean, actually, I think the Colts agree. The Colts front office and coach agree that this is a little ridiculous that had him for 1 year. In 1 year of being under a new system, on a new team, not exactly a new system, but a new team, new environment, and in 1 year without completely being acclimated and assimilated into the culture of the Colts, you threw for almost 30 touchdowns and less than 10 interceptions. And you want to get rid of that guy. This is why Jim Irsay is probably never going to win no Super Bowl. Okay, he's not a good owner. And he let his emotions get the best of him. Did they lose? Yeah, they lost. The team lost. Okay, your offensive line let your quarterback get sacked 6 times. Your defense gave up. Was supposed to be a good defense. Your defense gave up 26 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay, rookie got 2 touchdowns on you. Okay, yeah, Carson Wentz didn't score that many points. Okay, but your defense gave up 26. Okay, so there's a trade-off on both ways. Why? I think he's just a scapegoat, and that's pretty much what it's boiled down to. But everyone needs to understand what Carson Wentz is going to do for Washington. He can throw the ball. He can make every throw on the field. As much as I like Taylor, he could not do that. He could not make every throw on the field. He could not throw someone on a break-in route. He had to time it and throw it ahead of time to get it there on time. Okay, so he had to stare it down to make sure that the person didn't slip or whatever. And that's just the way Taylor Heinicke had to play. And he adapted to it and played to the best of his ability. And I honestly think that the offensive coordinator handcuffed him by not letting him do RPOs to loosen up the running game, to loosen up the blitz packages. So he never let him run the ball. And I think he actually told him, don't run, don't take off running or anything. You're gonna get yourself hurt. And he played safe all year. That's my honest to God opinion. Is he played very safe in that regard with like running the ball wise. That's my personal opinion. Wentz is going to open up so many more things. They're not going to be able to stack the box to stop Gibson. They're not going to be able to just single cover Terry and just play someone so deep that they can't go over the top because Heinicke's got to hang it up there to throw it deep to him. Okay, Wentz can hit the middle of those over the top packages between a deep safety and a cornerback playing underneath. Wentz can put the touch on it and get it there. Okay, this is completely different. The dynamic of this team is going to change differently. The only thing I'd say is Wentz, I wouldn't want him running as much as Taylor because Taylor seemed to just be more like he just seemed more. I don't want to say athletic, but he just seemed to run more and it seemed more like natural to him. Wentz, I don't want him running because he's had some serious injuries, and that's the biggest thing with him. But he is going to open up the running game. He's going to open up Terry McLaurin because now the person who can, like De'Ami Brown, can blow the top off a defense, and you can throw him the ball. Last year, didn't happen. De'Ami Brown would get behind the defense, and Taylor Heinicke can't throw it that far. There's so many things that's going to happen. Now, I think we're going to also use Logan Thomas more. You're going to use Jonathan Bates more. Maybe Sammis Reyes more. It opens up everything. That's going to alleviate the offensive lines issue as well, where with Carson Wentz, teams aren't going to bring 8 guys to attack Carson Wentz because Carson Wentz will burn them. He'll throw the ball. He'll put the ball where it needs to be on a quick pass if need be, and that's just what's going to happen. It's a completely different mindset and mentality when it comes to having Carson Wentz at quarterback. And again, like I said, this isn't the greatest option Washington's ever going to have. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the worst option either. And based on what's happened with the other 3 options, this is one of the better options. Mitch Trubisky, I have a feeling they tried talking to Mitch, and he wants like a long-term deal, and Washington wasn't going to give it to him. So, yeah, that's my video. I mean, I hate to be the guy that has to stand up for him. I like to just talk about other needs for this team right now. But my God, people just really ramming this guy into the ground. Okay, B Mitch was talking like has been on 3 teams in 3 years. Yeah, okay, he's been on 3 teams in 3 years. It's because the entire Eagles organization, pretty much the team collapsed. Okay, their coach got in a fight with the front office. Something's going on in that franchise because there's massive issues across the board where your coach, your starting quarterback, and everything just like has it out with the front office and ownership. And then pretty much the entire team collapsed the year after once they won the Super Bowl. Like right after that, the entire team just like caved. Okay, and now like they have it lit. Like there's talks now that Jalen Hurts isn't even their starting quarterback, and they went the playoffs with him last year. So there's obviously something going on in Philly that isn't like, I don't want to say kosher, but it just isn't like up to snuff. Something's going on there, and obviously the report just came out yesterday that the Colts head coach and GM did not want to get rid of Carson Wentz. It was the owner that didn't want to get rid of him because he's mad about one game or whatever the case may be. Okay, so obviously it's not the narrative that was initially spun the second he was traded. There are there's a whole bunch of his teammates that were upset that he's gone as well. Okay, I didn't look this up. I'm gonna look up Phillip Rivers stats right now. Phillip Rivers stats when it came to his year in the Colts. How did Phillip Rivers do his last year? 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So, okay, this is mind-boggling to me. Indianapolis he threw for 24 touchdowns in 16 games, and had more interceptions and had more fumbles than Wentz. But somehow Phillip Rivers is beloved, and Carson Wentz is ridiculed. I mean, he had more passing yards than him. I'll give him that. But Jonathan Taylor didn't have as many rushing yards playing with Phillip Rivers. There's almost 100 more rushing yards with 100 more rushing attempts with Carson Wentz than was Phillip Rivers. So I don't understand this at all. This is just insane to me. He had more passing yards. I will give him that. He had 4,100 passing yards, but he also threw the ball more. So I don't know where this hatred and vitriol is coming from. I mean, he played one more game than him, and he threw 3 more touchdowns and 4 less interceptions. I don't understand this, and he had less fumbles. It's insane. This is probably why the Colts ain't gonna win anything. Their owner's too sporadic for everyone's liking. But all right, I need to move on from this. All right, so this is that's my video. I hate the fact that I gotta keep sticking up for this guy. I'd like to talk about the cutting of Landon Collins, or like what we should get in free agency. But yeah, time to move on and talk about another topic. So this is JD. This has been the Washington Command Post. Hail to the Commanders, and see ya.